Hi, I'm Dr. Mark, and I'm going to help you sing and perform more like the top artists around the world. I'm a professional voice teacher, performance coach, and opera stage director. I've helped thousands of singers around the world learn the techniques and methods that got the top singers to where they are. It's International Save the Chubby Unicorns Day. No, it's not. But we will be talking about Dimash's 2019 New York concert, specifically the All By Myself number. I don't know about you, but my December's been crazy. So this is the first chance I've had to watch it and look at it all the way through. So come along, let's see what makes him so awesome. Okay, first thing is he has drawn the line between everyday Dimash self, guy you just see walking down the street going to the grocery store, stage Dimash self, which is vulnerable, confident, present. Those two might be more similar or not. I don't know, because I've never seen him in person when he's just by himself doing his thing. No pun intended with this song. But those two things are one thing, and then there's the character of the song. You'll notice here on stage, he's talking with the audience. He's engaging with them directly. He's talking to them. We just see this normal guy being vulnerable and sharing something with the audience. But right before he's about to start singing, all of a sudden we see a change, and we see this character. Now, we don't want to see a pretend person. We don't want to see someone putting on something that's false or untrue. But what we do want to see is the person who belongs in the world of the music and words and what Dimash imagines in his mind would make sense of all those things together in that world. If he's singing the song in this concert setting where we as the audience feel like he's in this formal concert setting and just doing that, it's less believable. We don't engage in it on a deep level. It might just be exciting and fun and a lot of spectacle and cool, but it's not the same really moving, impactful performance. So this distinction of engaging while in between songs and helping the audience feel loved and valued and cared for and connected with him personally then allows them to then be spectators as they watch him build this imaginary world of the song when he's done talking. Okay, typical Dimash in this moment, soft, pop-like, little breathy, still here at the start, really tight focus around him. Not to say he does it all the time, that's not what I'm trying to imply, but this is something we see him do frequently in his songs. Why? Because it's smart. We talked about this before, how you want to give yourself somewhere to go in a song. If you start loud right at the start, there's nowhere to go, and it gets boring. This softer, breathier sound sets up a really strong contrast for a clearer sound, a more operatic sound, anything, but it gives him a lot of direction to go. I'm not sure where he's going to be going here, but I think the direction will probably be a more classical style because that's usually what he pops into when he's really going for a big contrast in a moment like this. Physically, though, the way this works is because the music is soft and intimate and small and doesn't require a lot, lets him physically stay more quiet because it matches. The words call for the same thing, and so he matches his vocal style to that. So again, the words match the music, match the style, match everything needs to match together. Each communicating its own unique information, but also all telling the same story, just with different tools. The other reason it's smart is because for most people, starting a little bit on the aspirate, less pressurized sound is going to keep them from getting too pressurized, too pushy, too tense, too oversung. Not all the time. There's definitely people who have a hard time getting out of that breathy mode. So if you're a person who has a hard time singing with a cleaner sound, then maybe that's not the place to start. But for the majority of people who really tend to oversing and overpush, starting in this breathier place is smarter because it's easier to add in a little bit more chord closure, a little cleaner sound than it is to pull back from an overly compressed sound. Again, there's always exceptions, but in my experience, that's usually the case with most people. So this is a really smart way as a singer to really start low, calm down, give his voice a bit of break, just make sure that air is moving, he's not tense anywhere, and from a dramatic standpoint, give us somewhere to go and take us on this roller coaster. So let's see where he goes next. So surprise! He didn't give us a big contrast there. Cool! Love the surprise. What's cool about it though is that you hear a little hint of that. The second time we get that melody line back of the chorus, we hear a little bit of that edge in it. That cleanness pops out for a moment, which again takes us on this roller coaster. It gives us a little hint of what we're about to probably get here in a second, right? Again, I don't know, we'll see, but just my guess is we'll get some big contrast moment here in a second. So, very cool. A, he surprised us by deviating. We don't have a big contrast here in this moment. And it makes it so tender, this whole beginning part. And he's matching what he's doing physically with what he's doing with his voice, what he's doing with the story. The whole thing is just so intelligently planned out and so communicative. He's telling a gorgeous story. Let's see what else we got. Hard to be sure. Sometimes I feel so good. So clean. Clean sound now. We lost a breathy. Going up the emotional roller coaster. So awesome there that we saw in his body what we're about to hear, right? His body starts getting more intense as the music's getting more intense. And then that makes sense to us why all of a sudden he uses this more operatic, expressive, beefier sound. His body gets that way first though, right? Awesome. Why is that so awesome? Because that's what we do in real everyday life. Our body starts to show what we're about to say. So we see what we're about to hear, right? So awesome. It makes it believable. It makes that even though we hear this cleaner sound, it wasn't as breathy as the first verse. It's a little cleaner, but it's still soft and pop-like. Then we have this break and then operatic. Because his body showed us where we were going, it wasn't jarring, it wasn't abrupt. It was just a meaningful contrast. That's one of the things that Dimash does so well is he keeps his audience with him all the time. We always know where he's going. Even if we have a surprise, it's never jarring. It can be surprising, but not jarring. It doesn't feel like a mistake. It's very purposeful and planned. And we see his body take us on that journey so that we're ready and prepared for what we're about to hear. That's one of the things that I think makes him so successful when he's constantly switching between styles, even within a phrase. For example, this phrase we just listened to, it was operatic and then he pulled it back into this breathy pop place again, right? So cool, this blending of styles and genres. The reason it works is because A, his technique is staying relatively consistent. He's just changing the shape and how aspirate the sound is. And his body is demonstrating and showing us what we're about to hear so that we're ready for it. And it's clear that it's intentional and not just a mistake or some habit that he never fixed or addressed. It's obviously really intentional. Love it. So awesome. Okay, other big thing, he sings all by myself over and over again. It can be really repetitive. whenever we get songs where the words are repeated over and over again and the melody is relatively the same, it can be very boring. Is it boring here? No. Why? Because physically there's a lot of variety. B, he doesn't sing any of those phrases exactly the same. He's not repeating them. He's giving us variety phrase to phrase, which lets us stay engaged, even though the words are repetitive and the melody's pretty repetitive as well. But there's enough variety to keep our interest and to have it be meaningful. So, awesome. He's not singing. Does he just turn off and wait for this section to be over? No! He uses this moment to heighten the energy, the emotion, the tension, the engagement, right? It's so mystical. He just stays in character. He stays in character. Hallelujah. Thank you. So awesome. And he's always stays in character. He's always awesome like that. But it's a moment where he could just have checked out, turned around, taken a sip of water, done whatever, which would have been okay. But really, he used this to take the song even further. And we're sitting on the edge of our chair now waiting to see what happens. His body is in the character of the moment. We didn't see him drop into Dimash, performer Dimash or street Dimash. We still saw the character of the song engaged in what was going on. Again, taking us through what's happening musically, even when he's not singing.
When I was young, I dreamed about this moment. I love singing just for fun. Those days are gone. I forget lyrics. It's okay.
Okay, so in this moment, he chose, in this interlude, in this moment, to kind of break the tension a little bit, to engage his audience directly. He broke the character in this moment, right? Kind of got them laughing, made them realize he wasn't taking himself quite so seriously. It's endearing, it's engaging. It was a great, smart choice, a place to break the rule. And the rule that he broke was breaking character in the middle of a song. But it worked in this moment. It was awesome. The song allowed for it. That moment allowed for it. He used it. So smart. So this brings up a point where it's really important when we are learning to try to keep the rules so we can keep them consistently. But being professional, being an artist, is after you learn how to keep all the rules, knowing how and when and where to break them to create interest, to create meaning, and to engage that audience. And obviously, he's a well-experienced pro, and he shows it here in this moment. The audience is now more engaged with what he's doing, more empathetic with him, more in tune with him and on the same page, and so success. Let's see where he takes it next. Oh, duh. That's why he's engaging the audience, right? And breaking character is he's expecting them to sing. We didn't say that before, but so clear at this moment, that's what's going on. If he wouldn't have done that, would they have been ready to sing along? They wouldn't have been near as ready, right? They would have still been in spectator mode and checked out. Not the case here. Love it. Okay, question. What was the most intense moment here? When he's collapsed and singing that high note, or afterwards? Then which is the most powerful? What's interesting here is he's highest status after he sings. He does the big movement and huge. And that high note, he's actually really closed down, right? And he's singing on this small, tiny pinprick of air, keeping it really whiny and really bright and forward and not pushing at it. It's just so cool to see that he brings us in this vulnerability and then shows this confidence, this big release of energy at the end of it. Again, it keeps this song moving forward and keeps it from getting stagnant or keeps it from feeling like he's checking out. He's taking us on the entire roller coaster the entire time and being so smart about it as an artist. If he tried to sing that high note while he did these big gestures and walked, it wouldn't have worked. Just wouldn't have worked. But because he did it the way he did it, it was so much contrast, so exciting to watch, so much happening, and it served his technique at the same time. Now, the other thing you'll notice, his posture is really crunched and tight here. You'll notice, though, that even when he bends over and he does things where if you're walking a voice lesson, they might not want you to do at the beginning, he's breaking some posture rules and stuff like that, that he's still keeping that voice lined up, and he knows his voice well enough to not have to be super rigid to hold that position. And that's key. We don't want anyone on stage to feel like they have to stay in one ramrod straight type of position. It's just not human. It doesn't read. It seems formal and stiff and stuck and just not vulnerable and engaging at all. He doesn't do that here. He keeps us engaged the whole time, but he spent enough time with his voice to still keep it lined up and balanced even when he's in these rather extreme singing positions. Awesome. Okay, so at the end there, clearly showing off. He's got this long silence moment that builds up all this tension. He gives us his vocal fireworks. But to me, it's still, he's just so playful in this whole thing, which I think makes this song so much more endearing because it can be just so pitiful, right? The words, the music can just be so sad and make it seem just kind of pitiful. But in this moment, because he engages with it so completely when he does, but then is able to laugh a little bit and play a little bit, it just endears us to him in this moment. I think it's really, really cool. He's also showing off his voice, using the moment to really show us what his voice can do and play with it and get us all excited about what's going on. So we have this big bump, 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 bump kind of end moment where he gets to just really play and have a good time. Because he has a good time, so do we. Because he's not showing us that he's having a good time at the expense of his art and the quality of what we're hearing, but he's using the quality and his abilities and his skills to enhance our good time, we'll buy it, we'll accept it, we'll love it. Now, if you're having a great time and are not serving the audience while doing it, then we have a bit of a problem. But if you're offering them your best product while having a good time, there's nothing that makes a more exciting performance for an audience. Awesome performance by Dimash. Loved it. So cool. Wish I was there in person. but really fun to watch here on this video. If you want a voice lesson or performance coaching or want me to work with you or your group to help you sing easier, perform at a consistently higher level, book a time with me at mrperformingartstudio.com. Also, don't forget to check me out on wizio.com. There's a link down below. Don't forget to subscribe, click like, tell us what you liked about this performance and which one you think we should react to next. See you next time.